So hello everybody. This is my talk on like why you should develop your websites to take neurodivergent folk into account. I use the term neurodivergent rather than neurodiverse. It's a personal preference. So to kind of explain the two terms, neurodivergent really refers to people who their kind of brains work in an atypical way or a way outside of what you would consider the norm. Whereas neurodiverse kind of encompasses everyone, so that includes neurotypical and neurodivergent folk. So this is specifically for neurodivergent folk. And I'm very happy to be back. You got this. What is this? This is a talk about that subject, which we're going to go through. I'm going to talk about some kind of personal anecdotes, maybe you'd say, or problems that I have. And then at the end, we've got a little Q&A, as Kevin mentioned. So who am I? My name's Owen. I'm a software engineer at GitHub. I'm on the accessibility team. I'm also autistic. I am undiagnosed autistic. I always think it's very important to say that I'm a big fan of self-advocacy, self-diagnostics. I think it's a super important thing to accept in our world, especially in the UK, where diagnosis can take a very, very long time. So my self-diagnosing journey happened really because my daughter is diagnosed. She was diagnosed when she was 8, and we are incredibly similar, ridiculously similar. So the journey through her discovery that she was autistic was also a journey through my childhood, which was lovely and really good for me. I'm in a really good place now because of that. So there is also at GitHub, there is a really good neurodiversity group, the Neurocats, we are called. There's just over 200 of us. It's a ragtag bunch of very honest, lovely people. It's my favorite place to hang out at the company in our Slack channel. And just a shout out to like all of the neurodivergent groups out there who like hang out and talk about these things. And like I've had a lot of help over the years from people who have like hit issues that are similar to mine and helped me with them. So just saying thank you to all of those folks. I also wanted to point out that this is not an exhaustive list of how you would make your website sort of autistic friendly, say, or ADHD friendly, or any of that kind of thing. This is mostly from my personal perspective, also some things that I've gathered from being involved in the community. And really, at the end of the day, what you should be doing is engaging with actual users, talking to a huge range of different types of users, including neurodivergent folk and neurotypical folk, and other folks with other disabilities. You should basically just have a big old pool of people and you ask their advice. So you can consider this part of the advice, but not all of the advice. So let's get deep into it. The very first thing, and one of my real problems, is animations and things that move. There is a setting for this in CSS, prefers reduced motion, and I have that set on all of my machines. It doesn't always affect the website. Quite often it does not. And that is a problem for me. What I actually used to do is, so because I'm in GitHub a lot, I work in GitHub, I work on GitHub, and when I first started, there was not the little setting to switch off like animated GIFs and things, and that was introduced a little while ago, and it's made my life immeasurably better. What I did before that was I had a style sheet that was applied before all of the website stuff that I was viewing on Safari, and it just basically removed any GIFs that were on the page, and that's how I coped with it. And now I can actually see the GIFs, and I can start it, and I can sort of enjoy what the GIF does, and then I can pause it again when I'm done, which is brilliant. This isn't just limited though to animated GIFs and little animations and things like that. I was recently testing a website which had a carousel, and a sort of old style carousel, and it wasn't just that the carousel was moving and there was no way to pause the carousel or anything like that, but also some of the panels and things were different sizes, so it was causing page content to jump around sort of unexpectedly, and kind of things were shifting. And I actually found it quite hard to do an accessibility review on the page because I couldn't get my brain to sort of concentrate on what was happening. And it was a live with the people who developed it assessment of the page, and afterwards I had to go and have a little bit of a sit down in a dark room. It was interesting. My brain just kind of melted. So don't do that, is I guess the takeaway from this slide. Noise, yes. Unexpected noise, immediate noise. If I visit a website and it starts playing a video immediately with noise or anything that kind of surprises me like that, I will immediately close that tab and I probably won't go back. If you wanted me to go and read or watch the thing, um, have it paused by default. Let me play it later. That's all on that one. I have a processing issue when it comes to video tutorials. I find it hard to concentrate on them and do the thing and also work out what I'm meant to be doing next and things like that. And partly this might be because I have aphantasia rather than my autism, I'm not sure. So aphantasia is the inability to picture things in your mind. And it affects me in a number of ways, including like finding my journey on maps and things. I'll almost always use Google Maps, even if I know the journey well. But when it comes to video tutorials, I just find it hard to follow along. So I'll find I'm pausing a lot and rewinding it a lot and going over things again. And so my big advice here is if you have videos that you need to follow with instructions, also provide a written copy that's not necessarily exactly the same as the video tutorial, but has the step-by-step instructions to achieve the same aim. And I will 100% of the time use that version rather than the video, and it will make me much faster in what I'm doing. This one's an interesting one and really hard to get right. So if you have content that implies things or it's ambiguous or maybe it assumes knowledge and things like that, then I will misunderstand it or I will miss information, I will get it wrong. If it's a tutorial with instructions like on the previous slide and you don't detail the steps that you assume people will know, then I will spend quite a while trying to work out why going from one step to the next isn't possible or isn't going to get me the desired kind of effect. It also is, so for example, if I have a job to do and there's a GitHub issue which could be done in a number of different ways or could be read in a number of different ways, maybe there's 3 different ways that particular thing could be read. So that means that I'll probably get it wrong 1 in 3 times that I do that task. So be clear, use simple language, don't try not to use idioms. I'm okay with idioms. I've learned a lot of idioms over my time, but I know some people struggle with idioms. And just say what you mean, I guess, is what I'm saying. Say what you mean. It's good advice. Captions are a thing for me. I know a lot of autistic people like to have captions on when they're watching videos of people speaking. I can only watch captions on pre-recorded content. I find it hard to watch captions on live speech. And I think this is because the live captions come out kind of word by word often. And so there's almost like mini movements in the text. And that is worse for me than not having the captions. Although I then struggle to understand what's happening sometimes if I get distracted or if I kind of I'm thinking about something related but not what they're saying. So I have to really concentrate in live video feeds, which is quite tiring. So sometimes I will decide not to engage with a live thing and then to watch it afterwards. Not always, but sometimes. But also just a note to always provide captions. Give me time. This is a good one. So if you have a time limited task, maybe it's a form to fill out. If I fail to fill out the form and then the website logs me out, and then when I log back in, the form has gone and I have to fill that form out again, I will, unless it's like super, super important that I fill out that form, I will probably quit filling out that form and not do it. This is something that I found GitHub to be quite good at, actually, like filling out PR information or issues and things. If something happens, then I can go back to it and it magically seems to be there, which is very helpful for me. And this is a good opportunity to talk about a theory called spoon theory, which I'm a huge fan of this theory. It's really good. So the idea behind spoon theory is that in any day, you have like a number of spoons. it's a strange metaphor, but I like it. A number of spoons that you can use within the day, and each task you do throughout the day uses a certain number of spoons. So, like getting up and getting dressed might use a few spoons, and getting to your desk and checking your email might use a few spoons, and then doing something. So, for example, if I have to follow a video tutorial to do a task that's quite complicated, that will use up more spoons for me than if I had to do the same thing based on a written tutorial. And so one of the great things about spoon theory is it lets you think about kind of your capacity throughout the day. And if I run out of spoons, then I'll find it very hard to do constructive work or be nice to people or like any of those things, to be sociable. I'll find it hard to be sociable in the evening if I've used up all my spoons during the day, and that sort of thing. So it gives you a nice way of framing how to make things better for neurodivergent folks. So let's say filling out a form is a difficult task for me and it's high spoons. And then you, what was I going to say? You make that easier by splitting the form up into sort of sections and letting people know kind of what percentage they've got and telling them that it's going to be saved. And instantly that's going to use less spoons than the original kind of long old form when I don't know whether if I get logged out or have to go and like finish my day or whatever and come back to it tomorrow, whether that's going to save my progress. So basically anything you can do to give the user more time and to signpost the fact that they can save and come back to things is really helpful. I do not expect the unexpected. So if I click on something that looks like a link, say, and it doesn't act like a link, then it will bother me. If I'm interacting with an element and it creates a noise or behaves in a way that I don't expect, it will bother me. All these things kind of use up spoons or make me kind of not want to use the website in question. And it's really difficult for me to engage with something when unexpected things happen. And this also comes into just general design of websites. So if you're designing a website, sometimes it is very it almost feels like you shouldn't design a website to look like websites already look because it's been done so many times before. But I would urge you to just use the paradigms we have. Have a header at the top. It's fine. Don't You don't need to reinvent everything because it looks cool, because it'll make the website harder for me to use. So if I can go to a website and it looks kind of familiar, that really helps me navigate the website and use the website. So that would be nice. This is one of my favorites. So I think because I process things slightly different, I often like to take the long way around. And this is not just on the web, this is just generally in life. There are journeys that I take, for example, the school run in the morning, that we always go a slightly different way that is not the shortest way, but it's a slightly nicer drive. And it's what I'm used to. You're less likely to meet kind of lorries, big lorries and things. And so that's my preferred route. And on a website, sometimes I will go a specific way to get to something, even though there's a keyboard shortcut or there's a more direct route or something like that. And I think that scenic route, it gives me comfort. It requires me to think less because it's what I'm familiar with, and also I think the time to get there is helpful for me because like if there was on GitHub there are. So for example, there's you can press dot as a keyboard shortcut, and that does a thing. But if I do something like that to get to a place where I'm going, then I'll sometimes sit there when I get to the place I'm going, processing the fact that I'm there before I do the thing. So it's nicer, it's more pleasant for me to take the journey to get to the place and then do the thing, because there's less kind of processing, less kind of conscious processing involved for me then. It is just like a transition through to a thing so that I can do this other thing that I want to do. So always leave those. Don't assume, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Don't assume that the user is going to use the shortest path to something. Give them ways to get there and that are pleasant and a little bit more long-winded. This is a really hard one to solve, I think. I struggle with feature changes, And I was thinking about this earlier before the call. I was thinking about this again. So I really like it when you introduce a new feature, but there's a way to switch it off. So if something changes drastically and you say, oh no, I don't want to use this feature preview just now. And I was thinking about how we can make it better so that I can engage with that process a little bit more. So it would be amazing on a website to see, oh, this has totally changed. With a little notice to say, if you want to switch back to how it was before, click here. And then to have something that tells me how to switch back to it very easily, how to give feedback on the new version, because I definitely will if I don't engage well with something and want to switch it back. But I was also thinking it would be really helpful for me to know when that's not going to be possible anymore, because obviously you'll introduce new features and eventually the old way of doing it will go away. And so rather than having a jarring experience where I use it in the old way until it's not possible anymore, I wonder if it's possible to have, I use it in the old way, and then I have a warning saying sort of, oh, in 2 weeks or a month or however long the release process is going to be, this depreciated feature is going to be removed. So now is a good time to swap over and give us feedback on it before that happens. And I think that would be really healthy for me. And I am going to talk about it at work next opportunity I got, because I've been thinking about this problem for a while. Help me find stuff. This is related to the kind of journey, the slightly longer journeys. I like searches. Good searches on your website are really helpful for me. Often I won't remember how to get there from the menu, or I won't want to type the address in its entirety because maybe I won't remember what the particular words are that I want to go to. So having a good serviceable search will often be the way that I navigate your website. So I'll just go to it and then I'll type in vaguely what I want to find, and then I will go to the result. Even if I know exactly where it is, sometimes I'll do that. I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe it's because I just enjoy the process and don't remember where things are and stuff. So searches are good. If you have a website that sells things, please show me the price right at the start. If it is a service or an event or a product, if I have to go through a number of pages to find out how much it costs, then I'll often quit, because I like honesty and forthrightness. I like to know upfront what something's going to cost, and I like to feel like I'm not being fooled into accepting a price because I've invested in the process to get there, if that makes sense. So this is a real personal bugbear for me. Sometimes there have been times in the past where I've really wanted something, but then I've decided not to buy it because to find out how much it costs, I have to go through a number of pages giving them information and sort of setting all of these things into motion and reading about things, and then it says, and it costs this much. And even if I can afford the thing, when it gets to that point, sometimes I'm just really angry, and so I won't buy it. And I don't know if other people feel the same, but it really bothers me that we seem to be in this world where we feel like we need to trick people into buying things by not telling them how much it's going to cost. This doesn't make any sense to me. Help me. This is so I have a top tip for any neurodivergent people. If you're dealing with a company and there is no way to contact a human and you really need help, get on Twitter or your social media of choice and send them a direct message saying, hi, I'm autistic. I don't deal well with X, however their current support system is. Is there someone I can email to get help with whatever your problem is? And it doesn't always work, but the times it has been really glorious for me, where someone has said, oh, we'd be happy to help you. Please email this address and someone will be in touch. And like maybe I think half the time I've contacted someone, they have responded in that way, and 9 times out of 10, that has led to a resolution that has been much easier for me to deal with. So thank you to all of those people on Twitter support that do things like that. I really appreciate it. Having a way to contact a human is really helpful. Having a way to contact a human that is asynchronous and kind of easy to manage, like email or Twitter or other social medias, X, I should say, it's still Twitter, is is really useful for me. I'm not good at telephone conversations, so if there's a phone number, I will still reach out on Twitter and ask for an email address if I can. And there's a little unhappy face there because no one seems to offer up human contact as an initial support offering anymore, which makes me very sad. So we're reaching near the end. I hope you have enjoyed this so far. There's a number of web accessibility guidelines associated with both neurodivergence and also more general kind of disability advice. So the first link I've got here, and you can just search for this, is WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Learn them, accept them, just make things accessible, please. And then the second one is COGA, the Cognitive and Learning Disabilities Guide. And that is, it's quite hard to read, but it's really important, and it's really good to kind of get a grasp on what you can do from a compliance standard point of view to make your websites and technology better for people with cognitive and learning disabilities. So I'm going to leave those with you for future reading. I'm also going to give you some advice before I go. So, do you want to be inclusive? Of course you do. How do you become an inclusive person / company / group? Engage with the community, find out about communities. There will be them, they'll be around. If you are working for a company, create a space for that community, let it grow, let people in the community nurture it, make it a thing, make it a safe space, and magical things will happen. And then you can ask that community all sorts of questions and be just, yeah, it's lovely. So my conclusions for this talk: be kind, ask questions, and keep learning. So I always put be kind on any of my talks, I think, because it's part of my personal ethos. I think if everyone was kind, then the world would be a much better place. And I think it's always worth reiterating the fact that you can ask questions. Questions are good. Be respectful and inquisitive, and then you will get good answers and you will learn some really important things. So they're my conclusions. And that is the end. Before Kevin comes back and we have any questions, just wanted to say that I like all of my talks to have safe space vibes, which of course You've Got This always has. Just to remind you that this is being recorded and that oversharing is a thing. And yeah, cool. That's it. I'm done.